Hi, everybody. Welcome once more to part two of making marriage desirable again. And being a firm believer in the fact that before a, a predicament is being given a permanent remedy, we must dig up, we must identify the root cause of it. And so, the root cause of marriage relationship courtship broken has to do with people have not understood their time and seasons. Yeah, and if you will board with me in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, that explicates to us the details of the things happening to us according to their timings. Brothers and sisters, if we understand the timings and seasons of our life, we will do very great decisions. We wouldn't go where we want to go now. If you have to sit back, inhale, exhale, and rethink and evaluate what season you are in, you will have to see if you will go for that marriage or you will go for that job or you will go for quitting on yourself or quitting on some people. Um, Naturally speaking, in a Caucasian man's land, there are kinds of season, different kinds of season, and in all those seasons, the people that get prepared. In winter time, they have to buy winter jackets, winter boots, and in summer, they have to change. Some people change their wardrobes, and in spring and in autumn. In an African context, we have the dry season and the rainy season. And for sure, when it's dry season or when it's rainy season, in Africa, we get ready if we are to plant or what kind of food crop should be planted at this time to so that we can harvest it at which time. So if we can be able to adapt to that seasonal change, then why don't we try to put it in our own lives, especially when it comes to spiritual seasons and times? I'm saying so because understanding this thing again will um extinguish, will abort a lot of problems. It's going to abort a lot of, how do you call it? Is it unwanted pregnancies or children with no father, or children with no mother even? And just to say this, just because you are able to birth or you're in travel doesn't mean that you're a mother. There are many people, or there are many women, or many girls with the woman figure we have given birth, and they think their mother was at the time that they were with the child. Just because your birth doesn't mean that you're a mother enough. There are people with just birth canals, and of course they are men or they are boys with men with a manly figure, who would just impregnate us, as I call them, or sperm givers. Nah, and even a boy can impregnate. We should not forget that. But it takes a season, it takes a time for you to be polished and molded into fatherhood, manhood, husbandhood. So have you gone through that time? And that's what you should be questioning before you're thinking of that marriage. You have you gone through that season where you've been molded into a father? Have you gone through that season where you've been molded into a mother? Or have you gone through the season where you're molded into a wife? Wife material, husband material. We just want to go into relationships because we should go. At the end of the day, we do things we're not supposed to do, and then we give wrong impression into marriages. I believe, and these statistics has proven that um marriage, it's it's almost undesirable for many young people. Why? Is it because marriage in itself has a problem? No, the people, the individuals coming into that union are a problem. We have not understood ourselves. We've not understood the seasons and times. You see, a young girl, for example, who has just left a relationship, you know, made me, and maybe because the other person or she herself was not okay or something went wrong. Of course, it's okay. It's not going well. But instead of taking some time to see, reevaluate, diagnose, identify, check if what was wrong, is that I was moving at God's time or not? You see, singleness is a time where God has to prepare you, has to mold you, has to fix you, and install inside of you that which it takes to get into that marriage so that you can be able to offer in the marriage box a lot of things. The marriage box is an empty box where we all bring that which we have been given, you know, and we make it full so that all the time we can take out love from each side, we can take out respect from it, we can take out obedience, humility, understanding. But if you've not given yourself the time, you've not understood, have you gone through the process of becoming or getting into a fine gold? Some of us haven't. Just because we are affection staff doesn't mean that we're ready for relationship. That's one thing we should understand. A lot of people run into relationship that gets towards marriage because they're affection staff. The thing that's been a couple of months, been a year. I even hear some guys saying that, well, I've been a month or two. I've not had a woman. I've not had a, oh, and that's what makes them to want to go because it's been 1 or 2 months that they've not had a relationship or they've not had a sexual intercourse. So that's why they should go. And now, picture that scene where he just want to go in because he's not had one. That's the to the depth of his knowledge why he needs, and he gets into it without being prepared. You know, and just because you're prepared psychologically and emotion doesn't mean that you're ready. Maybe you're not fitted yet with all that it takes to give inside there. And now he goes and this is this young girl passing by minding her own business. And he goes after her, lure her, woo her until she falls into, you know, and the beginning. At the end of the day, just because he wasn't prepared, he wasn't fit, everything will crumble. And when the go their separate ways, that's what a whole human being that is broken. And now the lady moves to another relationship with a broken side of her, gets into that relationship, and trust me, whether she likes it or not, she will unconsciously sow almost what she was sold upon in that relationship. And sometimes it gets to a point even that the woman or the man, it goes on both sides, has invested so much in the previous relationship, you know, which she didn't know if it was time for her to move or for him to move. So much so that she invested so much so that everything is nothing is nothing is left, and they leave the relationship dissatisfied. Now, when they move to the other one, with that dissatisfaction unconsciously, there will be sowing negativities, making the other person, innocent person, unsatisfied. Because at some point they'll be like, this is the mentality. All men are the same, all women are the same. I think he's doing because the other one was doing, because it's just the beginning. The other one was doing the same. Excuse me. So this is the problem. We haven't understood the seasons and the times. What does your clock say? Some go because their biological clock has ticked. I'm 29, I'm 30, I'm 35, so I have to. It's not enough reason for you to move into that. There are girls who are still girls at 40, and there are girls who are women at 25. So it's when I talk of that, when I talk about times and things, not just the biological clock, or it's your human cycle that makes you think of your financial clock, or some no. You need to know, is God saying you I should move? Am I fit? Am I enough to get into it so that I may give myself? So this is the thing. This is the reason why a lot is not going right. Everything is wrong with everything. Even children come out of what do you call it? Wedlock or unwanted pregnancies. And what does the child become? What do you expect the child to become? And this reminds me about a guy who was saying the other day that he was talking on orientating children, and he was saying that children they don't feel to be orientated while they're in school or in college. From the moment that there was no proper care blueprint on how they should come into the world, biologically, the orientation failed there, and that's true, because if that child had to go in a technical school, and some people, God help me, some people just go to the decision of bringing a child because it was a chilly evening, it was cold, and so everybody just needed some warmth of the other person, and so it happened. There was some chemistry, and then the child happened. From that moment that the child happened, and that's how his school is going to happen, and that's how his future is going to happen. We didn't take everything into consideration. I mean, if we are able to really diagnose the times and season, if you understand that in this time, God is dealing with my singleness to process me into a fine gold. God is dealing with my celibacy, so that when he's done with me, I can give my whole womanhood, wifehood, motherhood, grandmotherhood, daughter-in-lawhood. I mean, I can fully give it with the anointing. If we understand that, we wouldn't just walk into anything anyhow. We wouldn't even take some decisions. Even it has to do with every aspect of our life, even professionally. You don't just go looking for a job because you think that, well, I need money, I need to. Are you ready for that job? You could get to it because you're not ready, or because it's not the time or it's not the season. You get into it, and it's just a couple of months into it, and you're sent out of the job. Or even if you make money out of it, you won't be able to utilize the money in the proper way. Understanding the times and the seasons. I remember the other day Daniel said, and I quote, that when he read, he understood that it was time for the land to be liberated. So what did he do? He went on to pray. And as he started praying, the prince of Persia had to do all he could do to impede God answering his prayers. I like that saying said here, I understood. And even in First Chronicles, we're told that the sons of Issachar understood the time so as to know what Israel ought to do. Brother, sister, what is the time you're in? What is your season you're in? So that you don't make that decision. Some of us are where we are because of the decisions that we made. Some of us have gone through the worst of life, the storms, because of the decisions. We didn't know the season. We didn't know the time. You don't, like I was saying before, you don't even know if you're motherhood enough. It's installed inside of you, if you carry it enough. So you go about giving birth. Now, when you birth a child that you're not ready to mother, or you're not ready, or you're not fit to mother, the street will mother the child and father the child for you. And what do you think what becomes of that child that has been mothered and fathered by the street? Food for thought. So, and in the same way, like I said the other time, in the same way, when we understand our seasons on times, we will know if we should uh take care, or we should take care of this particular thing with this particular person or not. I hope I'm making sense. I hope I'm talking something glorious to somebody out there. I hope I'm saving somebody's marriage somewhere. I hope I'm trying to unlearn some things from somebody's mind so that they can relearn. And we cannot be able to learn if we cannot unlearn some things. We have to see it. When you know that it is your time and your season, you stagger not, no matter the storms. I'm going to take a very good example. When I was taken for myself, when I was taken to leave from the other country into where I am, there were things and signs that made me to understand that it was my season of geographical um evolution or change. There were signs, and this guided me towards decision making, romantic or professional. There was a job opportunity I had to go for, a trainer, and I understood that I had to move geographically, so there was no need going in for that, or there was no need wasting time knowing that I will not do that, or I won't be there for long. Excuse me. Permit me again say this. Remind you that it did help me also that I didn't go around trying to hook up with a lady, you know, because I knew I had to leave the country. So had it been, I would not understand the season. And this took me a couple of like 6, 8 months to a year to know that this year it's my preparation season to take a leave geographically of this vicinity. And so if had it been I would not understand, and I just walk towards a lady, and I speak to her, and then we start a relationship for sure. We caught, and she's not aware that this is the season I'm in, and I don't tell her to, neither is she aware of her own season. And 6 months into the relationship, after we're into the relationship, she's given her all and all. Let's say I'm her first man, and she's given her all, and then 6 months into it, or a couple of months into it, I tell her, break the news, I'm about to take a leave, or something happens that, okay, now I'm taking the leave. I wasn't prepared. I didn't know. And it happened because I didn't understand, and because I didn't dig up to understand it was my season to take a leave, my season to go into the relationship or not. Now, this is a woman that knows that she's gonna be with me in the country, and we're gonna be together all true. And I've made her to understand that yes, 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 in the very beginning, this is all what is happening. And all of a sudden, uh, it happens that I'm supposed to leave, and I have to break the news that hey, I'm leaving. What do you think is gonna go on in her mind? And let's say at the end of the day, it doesn't work, and I take a leave, and she stays in that country. What do you think becomes of her? And what do you think becomes of her, maybe if she has to meet somebody else, a broken human, moving into someone who's also maybe broken somewhere by somebody. And what do you think two broken people can bring into the arts office? And there's some children that are not even supposed to be that were not planned. And so we go about thinking that no, it's God, it's the one. We make decisions because of our emotions. because of our thoughts and not because we understand in the times and season. Even there was a time that God was planning that you have to come at this time. So if God had that initial thinking of bringing you at a particular time, why do you think that He wouldn't have a season and a time for you to do something at a particular time at a particular time? Why do we just want to move into things, into relationship, just because we feel like? I hope I'm talking to somebody. Um, we must go back and rethink. We must go back. God is saying this. We must go back. A lot that is wrong with the law that is wrong now is because we just do what we want to do without understanding ourselves. Just because your affection staffed, you want to move in there. Just because she was passing by and then I saw her, I want to move into. Just because she's beautiful enough, I want to marry her. Just because he's handsome enough and he talks good, I want to marry him. It doesn't work that way, brothers and sisters. Let us make marriage desirable again by understanding our times and our seasons, brothers and sisters. So this short message should be reached to as many people cutting and going towards marriage and single people. And let me conclude by saying that if I'm talking to somebody single out there, we think if God is done handling your singleness, it's God if God is done installing you what it takes to move into a relationship, to move to become somebody's daughter-in-law, you know. And it takes, some people do not know that it takes time, it takes a process for everything you're gonna do. It takes a process for you to get there. Just for you to become a daughter-in-law, there is a process, there is something that needs to be deposited in that void to complete. That father that needs you as daughter-in-law, that mother that needs you as its daughter-in-law. The same thing with the brother-in-law. The same thing at the job. There was a void that needs to be completed by God within a time frame that needs you to complete that void in the company as a colleague. Wait, stay still until you know that the season is over, that you can move professionally in all aspects. Wiseman Brace, Boris Paul was here again. God bless you. Share as much as you can, and contributions are welcome. We must make marriage desirable for us again. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Enjoy your time. Bless you.